everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 23 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in ECW history with match number 28 on our list, which is the ECW World Television Title four-way dance between the champion Chris Jericho and the challengers Shane Douglas, Pitbull number 2, and Too Cold Scorpio from the Heatwave 1996 event held on July the 13th of 1996. This match is similar to the video that I posted yesterday of Sabu and Van Dam against Furnace and Crawford, in that in any sort of a promotion outside of this 1996 ECW bubble, I don't think this match would be nearly as successful as it is. This match on this entire countdown is the hardest match that I had to place because I love it, but I have enough criticism of it that I had a hard time ranking it above, a lot of other matches that I might like it more than, if that makes sense. So I like it more than some of the other matches that are still forthcoming on this list, but I don't think it's as good, or objectively good, I should say. And again, that's kind of ECW in a nutshell, right? This match though, and I could 100% see ECW aficionados thinking that I underrated this match and that I placed it too low on the list. But again, I'm kind of going for the all-encompassing top 50 for the external viewer, right? So if you're someone that's never seen ECW, or if you're someone that's trying to go back, that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So that introductory level with the top 50 countdown. So here we are at number 28 with this match. This match has a phenomenal story. So I've talked about it. We've had a nice little run of 96 matches lately here on the countdown. The spring into the summer of 1996 is one of my favorite periods of ECW. Everything surrounding the television title is so good. So we have Too Cold Scorpio, who is the television champion. He loses the title at a matter of respect to Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas almost immediately loses that title to Pitbull number 2. Pitbull number 2 loses the title at Hardcore Heaven to Chris Jericho. So with all of these rapid title changes and nobody getting a rematch, that brings us to the four-way dance, where, Chris Jericho has his work cut out for him, defending it against the previous three, champions, people that held the title. This match is so layered and it's so nuanced and it's so good in so many ways, but it's also a little bit of a mess, right? But that also has a bit of that ECW charm, like I talked about in yesterday's video, where, there's not a lot of structure and it's a little all over the place. And there's a bunch of moves that are all kind of just disjointed and smushed together. But all of that being said, you have this story that bleeds through everything. So in the grand scope of things, if you are watching all of the ECW in this period, this match is incredibly rewarding. But if you're watching it on its own without the context of everything surrounding it, you kind of look at it and you go, that match was a bit of a mess. So again, this is a match that I hold near to my heart. I love it. It is so good. On this rewatch period, seeing everything and getting to see all of that context leading into it, made me appreciate it even more. So your story here, like I said, we're surrounding the TV title, but we also have the feud that has started between Shane Douglas and Pitbull number 2. So we talked about, the upset where Pitbull number 2 won the title. Shane Douglas, essentially costing Pitbull number 2 the title to Jericho, kissing Francine, leading to Pitbull accidentally taking her out with a clothesline. So we have this heated rivalry here. Shane Douglas is running scared from Pitbull number 2 this entire match. And that starts right from the get-go as everybody's making their entrances. Shane jumps Pitbull with a chair shot, busts him open, takes him out of the match for the early going, just immediately establishing that the grudge is between these two guys. We have Scorpio and we have Jericho, adding to the overall, we'll say, work rate of the match. And, they integrate into this story as well. And they've kind of established, a competitive rivalry that we would see, at the Doctor's Inn in a match that's made this, list already in the countdown, that they would have a great one-on-one match. So they have almost the, kind of professional athletic rivalry that's established through this match, whereas Pitbull and Shane Douglas have the real personal vendetta against each other. So Shane Douglas here is great. This is a great performance from him. He's so slimy and skeezy. He only tags in whenever someone is down and whenever he can get that advantage. And once Pitbull number 2 gets back into action after that early assault with the chair, anytime he's in there, Shane is immediately tagging out. He wants nothing to do with Pitbull. He tried to take him out of the match. It didn't work. And now, like I said, he's running scared from him. He wants nothing to do with him. We end up getting a heat sequence on Pitbull number 2, which again is not something you'd really expect from this match. If you look at these 4 guys, you figure the heat's going to be on Jericho. He's, the defending babyface champion. He's undersized compared to Pitbull. He's plucky, he's scrappy, but the biggest, strongest guy is the one that they actually get the heat on. He's already bleeding, and that's the story what they go with. So again, a kind of a little bit of a twist on what you might expect here. Finally, we get a spot where it's Pitbull and Shane, and it looks like Pitbull's going to get his hands on him. They kind of spill to the floor, and Chris Jericho takes them both out with a dive. Again, cutting off what the crowd wanted to see. Scorpio dives onto all 3 of them. We get a spot where finally Scorpio and Jericho have had enough of Shane Douglas and start to refuse to tag him. That again leads to, the Pitbull Shane Douglas confrontation. But again, ECW does a really good job at not rushing things and letting things simmer. And that's what they do here, because again, Pitbull finally gets his hands on Jericho, gets him up for the gorilla press, which is one of his signatures. Jericho cuts it off with a middle missile drop kick. And again, just showing that these guys are opportunistic and trying to take what opportunities they have in the match. Jericho and Scorpio ultimately don't care about Pitbull number 2 getting revenge. They want to win the match. And again, it's sometimes you see in I'll use WWE as an example for better or worse. Sometimes you'll see the logic of a match kind of thrown out the window to give the moments that, we're looking for on paper. And that's not something that they did here. And ultimately, I think it built up that eventual confrontation even more. Chris Jericho ends up being the first person eliminated. This is a little bit of an ECW or Paul Heyman trope where we'll have these multi-person elimination matches where the champion gets out first, and it creates that, awesome atmosphere of knowing that there's going to be a title change, right? Which is really cool because fans love title changes, right? But when it's, the champion defending against one person, you're like, okay, is it or isn't it? But you still have the drama where, the champion's out, so there's going to be that title change, but you don't know who's going to win it. So again, it's a really good device that Heyman used quite a few times through ECW's run. He uses it here. Jericho's the first to eliminate it. In grand fashion, he goes for the lion salt. Scorpio hits a mid-move with a drop kick, which was crazy, and it drops Jericho right on his head. Flattens him with a tombstone pile driver and hits the tumbleweed for the elimination. Again, good story stuff here because Shane Douglas, trying to be opportunistic, immediately tries to match up with Scorpio and say, let's get Pitbull number 2 out. Scorpio wants nothing to do with it. Again, they've established this up until this point with, Douglas being conniving and being shady. End the match, these guys had it a matter of respect. So Scorpio wants nothing to do with him. And then we get an awesome twist where Scorpio goes on this great offensive run and starts taking out both guys. But a big-time missed moonsault allows Shane Douglas to have to do what he tried to do with Scorpio. But Pitbull number 2, again, this is a man that's been bloodied, that was injured at the start of the match, and he needs to take what advantages he can, but also he wants Shane Douglas all to himself, and he hasn't been able to get it at any point, up until this point in the match. So we get a weird sense of teamwork where Shane Douglas actually picks Too Cold Scorpio up, lifts him to Pitbull number 2 on the top, who delivers the super bomb. That would be something that the Pitbulls themselves would do together. Shane Douglas played the role of Pitbull number 1 here, and that was the elimination of Scorpio. And finally, we get to our big confrontation. Pitbull number 2 and Shane Douglas one-on-one to determine the new ECW television champion. We get just, again, good stuff, good near falls. Pitbull number 2 hits like a powerbomb through 2 open chairs. Shane Douglas hits the belly to belly. And then this is where we get into that typical ECW story-driven overbooking that just escalates the match to a completely different level than it was up until that point. So after Shane hits the belly to belly, rather than immediately go for the pin, which, you know, he kind of knows isn't going to be enough at this point to put Pitbull number 2 down, Francine gets up onto the ring apron and Shane Douglas throws her into the ring. So Shane Douglas, again at Hardcore Heaven during Pitbull's match with Jericho, you know, he put his hands on Francine, he kissed her, which we talked about as being somewhat problematic, you know, nowadays. But I guess it kind of works in the overall story because he kisses her again. But this time we see that Francine likes it, and it leads to, you know, Pitbull trying to save the day, going for the Gorilla Press Slam, and Francine spraying hairspray in his hair and allowing Douglas to hit a low blow. And then just in an iconic ECW moment, Francine, you know, pulls down the dress or the outfit that she was wearing and has a pair of bikini bottoms on that have franchise written on the back, showing that the fix was in all along, that Francine, who had been the valet and the manager of the Pitbulls, you know, was in bed with the franchise, and that would lead to her becoming, you know, Shane Douglas's head cheerleader, as they called her, for many years on end until Shane Douglas would eventually leave ECW. So this was the start of that great Francine and Shane Douglas pairing that was so good for, you know, 3 years following this point. So we get the Francine turn. That brings out Pitbull number 1. And again, I talk about ECW not rushing things, but they cram a lot into this one match. So rather than do a prolonged, you know, okay, are the Pitbulls going to eventually get their hands on Francine? They pay that off all in one shot in this match where, you know, they hook Francine up for the super bomb and, you know, they hit, Pitbull number 2 hits the big super bomb on Francine through a table. So crowd is crazy. You feel like you're getting all of this paid off together, and then it's going to be the Pitbulls, you know, big shining moment where he would take back the TV title, and then things just get even more wild. In comes Pitbull number 1. I talked about, you know, he was out with a broken arm, which is what led to the singles push of Pitbull number 2. He comes in, Shane Douglas attacks him and goes for like a single arm DDT, like a divorce court on the bad arm. But in a freak accident, which there's been debates about this through the years of, you know, if it was intentional or if it was an accident. I think it was an accident. But Douglas, when he hits this move, Pitbull lands awkwardly on his head and actually breaks his neck. So poor Pitbull number 1, who's out with this broken arm, has a broken neck. This would lead to Shane Douglas becoming the ultimate heel in a very famous angle where he would shake the halo of Pitbull number 1, which just got so much crowd heat. There would be another point where during an I Quit match with Pitbull number 2 and Shane Douglas, Douglas would put Pitbull number 1's head kind of through the ropes, like Cactus Jack style, like how Cactus Jack lost his ear, but you know, with this broken neck. And just really scummy heel stuff that really worked at the time and was really groundbreaking and got, you know, a lot of legitimate heat when in ECW, you know, the crowd was smart, right? So they were less likely to cheer the faces, boo the heels, and you know, just cheer whoever they liked or whoever they thought was a good work or whatever the case may be. But this got really legitimate heat on Shane Douglas that the crowd bought it hook, line, and sinker. So we get the breaking of the neck of Pitbull number 1, and then we just get an overbooked, you know, dog and pony show, to borrow a Raven phrase, finish where Douglas would hit Pitbull with a belt with the TV title, and he would kick out. He hits him with a piece of the broken table that Francine was super bombed through, and he would kick out. Brass knuckles, kick out. A steel chain, kick out. Finally, Pitbull 2, you know, he's on the ropes. He's been hit with all this stuff and keeps on going. He misses a wild spin kick into the corner, bumps to the floor, and it's the belly-to-belly suplex, the Shane Douglas special, what he knew he couldn't put Pitbull number 2 away with earlier, that finally seals the deal and gets Douglas back the TV title. This match, all of these layers, it gets the TV title back on Shane Douglas. He would hold that title for basically a year before losing it to Taz. It really heated up the Douglas and Pitbull rivalry, which unfortunately was so great up until its blow-off at Barely Legal, where they would have, I'll be honest, a complete stinker of a match that was really disappointing, given all of the build to it. The following month at The Doctor Is In, we would see these 4 guys split into 2 singles matches, the fantastic Jericho Scorpio match, which already made this list, and a Douglas Pitbull match that was far better than the one at Barely Legal. But this match is great. It's held in high regard by ECW fans, and for good reason. Like I said, if you don't know all of the story surrounding it, hopefully this video has brought you up to speed a little bit, but it's really worth watching all of the TV through that spring-summer period to really get the full grasp on why this match is as meaningful and as good as it is. You can watch it on the WWE Network. Of course, it might be available on Peacock, but you can certainly track it down online. It's also been made available on multiple DVD releases throughout the years if you are more of a physical media person. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you don't miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.